Welcome to True Wellness with Dr. D, the podcast where we explore what it takes to live with vitality, balance, and purpose. I am Dr. D, and each week I'll bring you powerful tools, inspiring stories, and expert insights to help you thrive in every area of your life. From health and wellness to mindset and navigating life's challenges, this podcast is your guide to creating a life of true well-being. Be sure to check the show notes and grab your free copy of the True Wellness Checklist so you can get started on your journey to true wellness right away. Now, let's get started. Okay, have you noticed this debate online where half the experts are yelling calories don't matter, and then the other half are swearing that calories are everything? And yet here you are, you're eating healthy, maybe even eating less than you used to. Maybe you're walking, maybe you're exercising, and still the belly fat shows up and refuses to budge. If that's not you, no worries. You're not crazy, and no, you're not failing. What's happening is that your body, your hormones, your metabolism, they shift, okay? And they shift when it comes to midlife. And all the old rules, well, they just don't apply anymore. So today we're going to cut through the noise and we're going to talk about several things. Number one, why calories in and calories out is not the end all be all when we're after the age of 40. We'll talk about the 3 hidden drivers of midlife weight gain and what science shows us about how fat really leaves the body. This is a fun one. And of course, what actually works to reset your metabolism without crash diets, without deprivation. So if you've been wondering, what's my body doing? Why is my body changing even though I'm doing everything right? This episode is for you. Today, we are going to dive in and we are going to talk about weight loss beyond calories and that midlife metabolism reset that every woman really needs. So let's start with the truth. Calories do matter. Absolutely, right? But the idea that weight loss is as simple as eat less and move more, well, that's outdated and downright harmful for midlife women. So here's why. So as estrogen and progesterone decline, right, and perimenopause and menopause, several different things happen. Your metabolism, it naturally slows down by about 200 to 400 calories a day. Yikes, right? You lose more muscle more easily. And that means that you burn fewer calories even when you are at rest. So building that muscle is really important. Your body also becomes more insulin resistant, which makes it easier than to store fat. So especially that fat around that belly area. And stress hormones like cortisol, they tell your body to hold on to fat just in case, right? So calories matter, but hormones decide what your body actually does with those calories. And that is the piece that most women are missing. You know, I remember we had one of our clients, Karen. She came in and she was eating healthy. She was bicycling over 100 miles a week. You know, she was cutting the calories, but she only saw results once her cortisol and her blood sugar was addressed. And that's just one case, you guys. We've seen thousands of cases of women in that same boat in our practice. So there are different drivers of weight in midlife, and there's 3 of them that I want to talk about on today's podcast. Okay, so the first one is going to be hormone imbalance. So estrogen, progesterone, thyroid, cortisol, insulin, you've probably heard them all. Okay, you've heard those names. Those guys, they all play together like an orchestra. And the problem with an orchestra is that if one section is off, the whole sound goes wrong. So cortisol it leads to belly fat, right? Estrogen dominance gives us bloating, gives us stubborn weight, gives us mood swings. Low thyroid, well, that gives us fatigue and slower metabolism. So all of these things end up having a little bit of chaos as we move into perimenopause and menopause. And then our body's got to figure out, like, oh my gosh, what the heck do I do from here? And this is why it's so important to get the hormones in balance. And I don't mean balance your hormones by taking extra synthetic hormones. I mean, getting to the underlying root cause of why the hormones are in balance, which we're going to cover some of those as we're going through this podcast. So hormone imbalances is number one. Number two is your blood sugar resistance. Okay, this is a big one because when we hit midlife, it's almost like we're on this crazy blood sugar roller coaster. And even healthy foods like oatmeal and smoothies or salads, they can spike your blood sugar. Even if they're, let's imagine you're taking in, carb heavy things and you're not getting enough protein and fat. Well, what's going to happen is your insulin is going to rise. When your insulin rises, your fat storage actually begins to increase. And then what happens? The crash hits. And then all of a sudden, now you're hungry again 2 hours later. Okay, we haven't even talked about the ghrelin and leptin, which also can control your hormones, but are also impacted by this. You guys, so here you are. It's like maybe you're trying to lose weight, you're restricting your calories, but you're not getting that balanced meal that your body needs. And now you're on this blood sugar roller coaster because as we age, like I said, you're less and less sensitive. So that's number two. Number three is stress and nervous system. So your stress levels and your nervous system regulation is key when it comes to weight loss. I mean, I think this is something that most people never really hear. Your nervous system is the control center for fat loss. Again, your nervous system is the control center for fat loss. If your body thinks you're in danger, it's not going to release stored fat. Why? Because your body is wired for survival. So storing fat is a way that your body actually survives. So if your body doesn't feel safe, if you're stressed out all the time, if you're running all over the place, doing all these things, never taking some time to slow down, you're eating your food without having just brought your body into a calmer state, well, here goes the problem. Okay. And here's the wild part. I mean, when your body does burn fat, I'll tell you, this is fun. It doesn't actually melt it away. So there was a research article published in the British Medical Journal, and it found that 84% of fat actually leaves your body through your breath as carbon dioxide. I'll say that again. 84% of fat leaves your body through your breath as carbon dioxide. And then the other 16, leaves as water, leaves through your urine, sweat, or even your tears. But if you're all day stressed out, which means you're breathing shallow, okay, you're holding your breath all day, you're not sleeping properly at night, you've got, airway obstructions, well, you're literally limiting the pathway that your body uses to let go of fat. So how about that? So just think about it. You can help breathe your way to fat loss, but it's important, you guys, because it is the way that our body operates. So those of you who are struggling with weight, you're always struggling with weight, what is happening with your breathing and how is it that you're breathing? So here's a fun fact. I mean, let's imagine that you lose 22 pounds of body fat. Okay. So let's do the math on that. So 22 pounds of body fat comes off your body. 18 and a half of those pounds literally are exhaled through your lungs. 18 and a half of those pounds would be exhaled through your lungs, literally. Okay. The other 3.5 pounds that becomes water. So stress management, especially after we're 40, is one of the key critical pieces to our weight loss. And deep breathing, I mean, it's not just about relaxation. It's actually part of the fat loss process. I know some of you are like, oh my God, I think it's pretty cool, right? When I learned that, I was like, wow, that is pretty darn awesome. And now you're like, okay, let me breathe all day long. So what happens in midlife, so those were the top three things, you guys. What happens in midlife is the body begins to shift. So the research shows us, there was a study, it's called the SWAN study, the study of women's health across the nation. SWAN, study of women's health across the nation. Okay. And what it did is it followed women through menopause. And what they found was pretty powerful. So during the menopausal transition, okay, women gained on average 3.5 pounds of fat over 3 to 4 years. Okay. Now, it's not just that. At the same time that they were gaining fat, okay, they were losing lean muscle. So even if the number on the scale itself was barely changing, okay, they were gaining the fat and losing the muscle. So they might have had a net zero on there. Think about that. So 2 years after menopause, right, the body composition shifts even more, with fat mass increasing and lean mass still continuing to decline. So you might be thinking, some of you, right? You're like, well, my weight hasn't changed much, but behind the scenes, your body composition is dramatically shifting. And that's why you may look different or feel different, even without having a huge jump on the scale. Okay. So, what do we do about it? The answer, you guys, it's not another extreme diet. It's not starving yourself. It's not punishing yourself with workouts. Honestly, the solution is to work with your body, not against it. So, if we are in that transition after 40, the more you start to restrict your body from having food, the less safe your body feels, the more cortisol you have, and now we run into an issue. If you're not managing your stress, because life stressors have, begun to build up at that transition of life, well, then things are not going to change. If you're punishing yourself by doing like really intense high workouts, this is like the whole like, okay, keep your heart rate up for extended long periods of time. You guys, this is actually more damaging to your weight than it is actually helpful. Okay. So you want to work along with your body. So here's a couple of powerful shifts that you can begin with to really start to train your body. So number one, protein first. I want you to start your meals with protein. Okay. This allows you to balance your blood sugar and it preserves the muscle. And it's okay, you guys, if you're plant-based, that's totally fine. I tend toward plant-based in my diet personally, but you can use things like chia seeds or chia pudding, lentil soup, hemp protein, for example, in your smoothies. There's some great ones out there, you guys. But it's really important to make sure that you're getting optimal amounts of protein into your diet. You need that to, keep your blood sugar balanced, to keep that muscle in check as well. You also want to make sure that you're getting in a lot of fiber and phytonutrients. So what does that mean? It means eat your vegetables, load up on things like vegetables, berries, beans, flax seeds, right? These things, what they do is they actually support your estrogen metabolism and they support your gut health and, of course, your hormone balance. So you want to focus on those things. And I'll tell you, we work with clients all the time, and most people, like, their veggie intake is in the gutter. They're not getting enough fiber in their diet. And it's key, you guys. It's key. You should, by the way, be having 2 to 3 beautiful soft serve ice cream like bowel movements per day. Okay. That is a good sign that things are moving, things are flowing, you're getting enough fiber in. So focus on that. And then, of course, the breath. We just talked about it, right? You want to lose 22 pounds, 18 and a half of that needs to come out through your breath. So try this once or twice a day, or even more if you're inclined to. Okay. Inhale for 4 counts, hold for 7 counts, exhale for 8 counts. This will not only calm down your nervous system, but it will literally support the fat that's leaving your body. Okay. It's like, bye bye, off you go. So, the other thing that's really important is sleep. Sleep is a hormone reset. So if you are not prioritizing your sleep, you ought to be. You need to build your schedule around your sleep. Okay. And it's important to not only have enough sleep, but to have a consistent schedule of sleep. I always tell people healing, the best times for sleep is between 10 and 2. So get yourself to bed before 10. I know we have, oh my gosh, at South Bay Wellness, we've got a lot of clients that are night owls, and I understand. And sometimes you're busy at work all day and you're coming home and you spend time unwinding, but time making dinner and cleaning up and doing all those things that need to get done. But make it a priority to at least get into bed by 10. I know some of you are rolling your eyes at me. I get it, but it's important. Most important, though, is going to bed and waking up every day at the same time. Okay. And then also, when you're waking up, get some of that morning sunlight. So, yes, no matter what time of the year, it could mean standing outside, looking at the sun first thing in the morning before you grab your handy dandy cell phone. Okay. And using that to help reset your balances. Okay. And stop scrolling at night. I mean, listen, I catch myself doing it all the darn time. It's one of the worst things that we can do for ourselves before we go to bed. Okay. So grab a book. Let's get back to the old fashioned way. Grab a book, read instead of scrolling. Half of what scrolling isn't worthwhile anyway. Or, of course, you can turn off your phone and just listen to the audio, practice your breathing as you're listening to the True Wellness with Dr. D podcast on a regular basis. That is, of course, another thing that you can do. But go to bed and get up at the same time. Get that morning sunlight. Don't use screens. Shut them down at night. That includes TV. You guys, by doing these things, what your aim is to balance your cortisol and your melatonin, okay, which are both key to your fat metabolism. Okay. Now, key takeaway, you guys, it's not about eating less. It's about nourishing your body in ways that make your body feel safe to actually let go of the fat. Now, here's what I see often. I see women, they're cutting carbs, they're trying fasting, they're loading up on supplements, and maybe they lose a few pounds, but it comes right back. And that's because what worked in like our 20s and 30s doesn't work the same when we hit midlife. And it's not that your metabolism is malfunctioning, it's just that it's different. See, your body never does anything by accident. Your body was ingeniously designed. Like, thank you, God, for this amazing vehicle that we have. It knows what to do. And sometimes when we don't like the outcome of what's happening, it's just because the body doesn't have what it is that it needs. So unless you address hormones, you address gut health, you address toxins in your system, you address stress, then you're always going to feel like you're fighting against your body. And so it's really important that you're getting to those underlying root causes and working through those different pieces. So I want to share with you a story about one of our clients, Sarah, because when Sarah first started, she was like many of our clients. She was coming in, she had a pretty healthy diet. She had a high stress job. So she was a C-suite executive. She had very little time for exercise. She had very little time to take care of herself. She was also a mom. So she was juggling her family, her work, all of her different responsibilities. And by the time she came in to work with us at South Bay Wellness, she was just in this state. So her anxiety was all over the place. right? She was literally living on caffeine. And then when she'd get home, she'd be so wired up. There was several nights a week that she was having that glass of red wine just to calm herself down so that she could get back into the space of being able to go to sleep come nighttime. And you guys, I don't know how many of you use alcohol as a calming agent, but it actually makes things worse because it throws off your liver. When you consume alcohol, your liver produces toxins, right, as a result of that alcohol consumption. And so, your liver is further off, your adrenals are further off. You're going to end up with more hot flashes. You're going to wake up the next day having excess weight. So decide. I'm not saying never have a glass of wine. I never say that. What I am saying is pick and choose when things are actually going to make a difference for you in your body so that you're truly able to begin to release the weight, begin to reset, begin to allow your body to come back into that space of homeostasis. But the other thing too that Sarah was doing is she was always drinking out of plastic water bottles, right? She lived on those at the office. You guys, those are endocrine disruptors. Endocrine meaning hormones. They are hormone disruptors. Okay. She was also using beauty care products like shampoo, conditioner, and her makeup that also contained toxic load. So you want to pay attention to the things in your environment too that you're using that can enhance, or I shouldn't say enhance, that can increase your toxicity levels. Because the more toxic your body is, the more it's got to contend with. In Sarah's case as well, we did find an underlying parasitic infection that was also contributing to the things that she was dealing with. But you guys, all of these different things are important. That's why, there's lots of things that you can do to try to get yourself on the right path. But I always recommend that you're working with an educated practitioner who knows what they're doing, not someone who took a weekend course, right? But someone who knows what they're doing, understands the biochemistry, understands menopause, okay? Because it's a pretty specialty area. Most doctors are like, hey, you're just menopause. We'll see you later. They don't know what to do with you, right? I'm sure many of you have had that experience, but these are the things that you want to work on. So, okay, let's bring it back. So calories do matter. Of course, if you're eating lots of healthy food, but you're having 3 cups of nuts every day, well, that is going to pack on the pounds. So pay attention like if you're just grabbing handfuls of things here and there, well, those handfuls, they all add up. A lot of the things we say to our clients and first and foremost is, hey, just track. Be really honest with yourself. Be really transparent with yourself. Just track what it is that you're taking in. Now, we have some clients who don't take in nearly enough calories. And if you're like depriving yourself as well, then your body's going to stay in that fight or flight. There goes your cortisol. But a lot of clients, the majority of clients are ending up taking in way more calories than they had even thought that they were taking in. So I'm not saying you have to track your food forever, but do it for a period of time where you're at least paying attention more to what it is that's coming in and going out. Because calories matter, but they're not the whole story, you guys. I hope you've gotten that today. They're not the whole story. So hormones, stress, sleep, gut health, toxins, your breath, they determine whether your body is actually burning those calories or storing those calories. And here's the part I want you to remember, okay? The old model, what worked before, like there's nothing wrong with it, but now things have changed, okay? You're not failing. It's that the old model is failing. And so here you are, you find yourself stuck in this place. So you guys, if this episode has resonated with you, there's 2 ways you can take further action. Number 1, grab the True Wellness Checklist. You can go to go.drdcom/checklist, and it'll help you start to see where your body might be out of alignment and things that you can do to realign your body. And then 2, if you're ready for more personalized guidance, then schedule a discovery call with myself or my team. You can find that at go.southbaywellness.com/schedule-call. Okay. And we'll look at your situation. We'll figure out, do we think that we can help you? What it is that is going astray? And how can we support you? You see, you don't have to keep guessing. You don't have to keep fighting your body all the time. There's actually a way forward by working with your biology and not against your biology. So with that, everyone, thank you for joining me today. If this was helpful, share it with a friend who's navigating their own midlife changes. And be sure to subscribe, of course, so you don't miss out on the next episode of True Wellness with Dr. D. This is Dr. D reminding you to tune into your body, connect with what matters, and embrace the journey to true wellness. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who's ready to redefine their health. Be sure to grab a copy of the True Wellness checklist right in the show notes. Let's keep redefining wellness and empowering change together. See you for the next episode.